Why am I giving this message? Because it's a bit awkward, right? It's funny, and it's not realistic. Wake up. It's already realistic. And another ascension happened to gain another vision, to see and connect, and to bring you a message. So I mentioned from the first part, as we, an angel, we have a right to say whatever we wanted also. Because we have also a feelings, not you only humans, and demon realm. So I've said right, it's time to combine the spiritual and real. It's only two, but there's is are three. So it's from the good spiritual and bad spiritual. It's came from the spirit world, right? And the physical, which is this earth, human being. So it's a stage to learn from all of us. From the good realm, from the bad realm. That's why. Oh, and I will come to the uh, movie, which is the Chinese always do. There's those fantasy that they are doing. So I'm going to add this movies that they are doing, because there's a meaning of all the movies that they do, even though it's on the magic or supernatural, etc. I said before, right, that realm is like inside of us. But the other image is, it really is happening also in a world from spiritual and physical, not only inside of us. Because we are also universe. There are different kinds of churches as universe, as body, and etc. Every person, there's a lot of people that are explaining the other meaning of the temple, church, body, universe, earth, etc. We can also say our body is the universe or earth, temple, body, etc. But there's other meaning of the universe, body, temple, etc. And I'm going to explain something so that we can understand more why we are in chaos in this earth with the spiritual. So that we can, there's really is big trust that God given to human race, the whole human race came from Adam and Eve, that they can do it. I have that feeling also. But people that I encountered is destroying that part. So that I will remove myself from that kind of hope and belief. But I guess you have to understand also and accept those kind of anger and dismay, disgust that you will feel the human race. Yeah, this is what I feel from this ascension. Why I got this message and the connection. So again, you may feel awkward, but at least I think you will understand why there's always a person that is revolving in only materialistic world and doesn't understand spirituality, or understand spirituality but only wanted to apply what it knows, which is bad spirituality. So I guess not only angels has the race in this earth, even the demon is. Because common sensely, if God has an angel, the devil has also. We can say it also the evil angel, demon angel, whatever it is. Because even though you remove the your image as a very as what the human says angel, we can still explain it as minions of God, or beside the beings beside God. What else? What kind of explanation can we call if it's not angel? Whatever. The most important is to understand what really is happening. What I understand also and came out. That's why I can say these things. Like, I always have a question. And why? Like this. Why am I always in this kind of situation? Until a vision or a knowing that will come into you, then you can explain things. Then why is it? You can even see kinds of movies in human real, and actually there are connections. It's right that there is no coincidence. All has a reason. Everything has a reason. Everything has a connection. Yes, as angel, you as a human also has a rights. I've always hear these two professions and using it to fight for themselves. If you that looking us through our professions thinks we are perfect, we are not also. Some people, but there are people directly saying, I'm perfect. I have this profession. So don't come to me and question me, even though what I'm doing is bad. That's kind of a different direction. What I'm talking about is those people that think also those kinds of professions are, we should be perfect. Yeah, we are not perfect. As the always says also, we have our own feelings and we have a right to fight something also. Whether how we fight is through angerness, hatred, or high pitch or low pitch voices. Because people now are very sensitive in hearing high pitch. They always say, you're always angry. You're always, that means they cannot accumulate through their own brain and emotions and heart. Look, the evidence how you, people or this generation is very, very, very sensitive. And especially if you are not quite on those kinds of situation. Like advising, even though it's very low pitch of voice, especially if it's about truth, people reaction is, you're judging me, you're mocking me, you're discriminating me. Instead, I welcome that blessings, even though it hurts. Because it is really truth. Why those advices comes to you, soon you will understand and you will need it. Even though you didn't do those kinds of advice. Maybe that advice came advanced because there will be happenings that will happen in the future. And I think all of those people that advise me, even though their advice, it's like I'm doing it. Because they make me strong here. Here. And not all the time, you will feel hurt at that kind of advice. And instead, appreciate that, wow, if I thought there is no people that advising someone, at least I can say even only few they're still advising someone. That's the real positivity. That people think it's a negative capability or personality of, or what do we call those kinds of situation? Because not only feelings are connected, because situation also are connected. It's like I can remember but I cannot remember the word. Now, do we understand now what's happening in this earth? And how God given you trust human, the whole race of Adam and Eve, the 100%. Because most of the time that I always have an evidence that the ones who can handle these kinds of things, even the knowing more beyond, is the race of half human and half angel, or even demons. But they cannot resist who they are if they are the race of demons. They can actually also, I can say, I can say I am one of the race of that angel, demon, human. Because being an angel, if you already uh, betrayed God, automatically you became demon itself. And you, I forgot the word. You allied. You allied with that demon. Even though what I did before as the first angel, betraying God, is already an act of being a demonized. But once you realize something, go to reflection, accept, and repent, God always is forgives. So at the end, that's how we prove how God really is good in us, but us always put that God never hears. It's all about our own narrative, our own understanding at the end. And at the end, He is still waiting for us, excuse me, to change. He even seen the good benefit of the devil itself. That's why God made something to have a contract, which is what Jesus Christ did also. There's verses, and I've seen this in that's why I saw that kind of content. Someone's made a content about what Jesus Christ did beyond more spiritual realm. Like that content explains Jesus going to three different kinds of realm in spiritual, three or four. The last part is on the realm of the devil. And all of that became empty. Is that empty? Yeah. And here we are. That's why there's always a cycle for us to learn. But this is already the stage. Last stage, last chances. And that depends on you if you will accept it or not. If you observe that, why is it what you only wanted is the goodness and doesn't want to accept the evilness. There's something you have to accept at that part. And if the other parties, the other person, which is, why is it that you only wanted to accept evilness, but you don't want to accept goodness because you think it's wickedness? Both actually. Because there's a knowing in good, which is why they do those bad beings or people do this one because they wanted to hide their weakness. I mean, not wickedness. Yeah, sometimes they do gaslighting to say they are good person by hiding their wickedness. But what I'm talking about is the weakness. So I hope you understand what I'm saying because I've already said a lot. That's actually combined. That's why our world is in chaos. So if we all got to the peak point of knowing everything and knowing why our earth is on chaos, we are on the golden age that they always says and we always hear. Golden age, which is even though there are some many crimes or etc. that's happening in this earth, chaos in our life, just because of that knowing, it saves that situation, and you know what you will do already, like what's happening in yourself. You understand already yourself. You understand your emotions. You understand how you think. You understand why your reaction is like this to other person or to a situation. You understand why their reaction is like that with you. You understand even not perfect. I mean, that understanding is even not perfect, and we all call that discernment, intuition, guts, right? or knowing, knowledge, wisdom, intelligence. And again, I'm going to call the human race and the half human race and half angel race and half demon and half human race. Your attentions and say, when will we accept one another and welcome one another that we really stay in one realm already? That's the other meaning of the Chinese movies in the series, I could say, that they do. Like, they always put on demon entities having breed with humans, or being with human race in a good in bad realm, fighting one another. Both can actually get their own peace and be balanced once we all accept one another. If not, really, fight whatever you want to, which is, us should be here, only on this place. Us, like, you only fight for your own people. Like those different kinds of race. That's why they're in this earth. The meaning of those subdivided different kinds of race is not because of the sin that we did on building a tower, but there's a meaning also beyond more. Those different kinds of race is the image of what I'm explaining now. Like, no one is above all. We are all equal. And we have to accept that part. Whether our country is more good in economics or not, we are still equal. The real power is how we will accept one another. Because at the very beginning, no one can do that one. That's why there is no unity that is happening. Not the power of your image, which is the power of image in materialistic world. If we only revolve at that part, everything will be in chaos actually. Because this realm is fighting for their own realm also. Which is, if I'm, as an angel, always experience people, which is the only things, they should be the one. My projection is, I discuss what they wanted to think about themselves. Because how will you accept those kinds of people if they don't want to accept others also? Or how you will accept their knowing and explaining things if they don't want to accept knowing of others? It's like they only wanted to be always them on the part which is they are always intelligent, knowledgeable, have the wisdom to say, but they cannot see others. How can you also, right? If you, even though you understand them, but there's a limitations in boundaries, which is you have to save yourself also at that part. That's why at the end, what you will project to them is, you have to know how to see others before I will accept you. Not only yourself, like being selfish. If you are selfish, I will be selfish to you. That's the limitations in boundaries. The spirit really is doing it naturally. And the physical is going along, I mean. But there's a different kind of explanation, which is they discriminate you and mock you because they don't accept what you are saying. And the projection there is they disrespect you. They destroy the trust that you are giving to them. They don't give concern to your empathy actually. You will always observe that part. And give a proof in a situation. And at the end, you will be disappointed again and destroyed again the limitations and boundaries. And you will project to them how they are. And if you call them, at the end, you will be gaslighted. Why? You wanted that kind of cycle every time? Or realize something that there's no use to discriminate one another, disrespect one another, but instead move on, accept one another, whether that person is bad or good. Because some people really also give a narrative that every person is the same, especially in doing sins, in doing mistakes. I've encountered that many times. Why are you calling that person? And the persons are all the same. They always say that one, all the same. We have to accept for us not to see all of people are the same. We have to embark on knowing which is every person in this earth has a different kinds of personality, attitudes, qualities, manners, characteristic, but you can only determine if that person is immature or matured. And if that person is immature, try your best to assist in, lead in, guide that person. With its level, you have to consider that one also. And some people doesn't accept that part also. That's why there's always an argument. But there's reason for that part also. To learn something for the part of humbleizing someone, naturally it's happening actually. And I'm going to explain why in real life there is no bisexual. That the Bible really is correct. Additional from the ascension message. But I have to separate it. Because it will lead to chaos in this message. Because I think I observed that when I combine the messages on a message like before, well, it's also related, but it's more better to cut it and another message. So I hope you realize something. It's all about upon us. Because no one will decide for ourselves but ourselves only. How we accept things. How we understand things. And how we understand ourselves from maturity and immaturity. And again, because all the time you will prove that this kinds of knowing is nonsense to people. Because of materialistic world. I have a problem in this materialistic world, and this is adding. If we don't stand to face these kinds of problem in spiritual world, we cannot solve the problem in physical. That's why these people is like always finding is to gain a lot of money because there's no satisfaction. So there's something wrong in the spiritual realm. That's why that kind of situation is happening. Like there's no satisfaction in this person. That's why this person is always doing this kind of part. Thank you. See you again in my next video or message explaining why there is no bisexual. But there's a part of reincarnation also. I'm going to explain that part clearer. I've talked about this before, but more clear message.